We never saw the full power of Demon King Meliodas in the Seven Deadly Sins manga or anime, but we absolutely do see it in the Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross when his ultimate attack is making an explosion so large that it makes the final attack of the Seven Deadly Sins series look like a firecracker in comparison. Let's calculate it. Hello Internet, Jojo here, and welcome to my corner of the internet where we have Meliodas nuking the planet Earth. In the Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross, you can acquire Demon King Meliodas as a playable character, and not only is he a to play against, but he looks cool doing it. Anyways, this explosion is massive. So massive that to actually calculate it, you need to use the entire diameter of the Earth as a ruler. And yes, this is the Earth, because despite this being an anime, it does take place in Britannia or medieval England and that surrounding area. There's also the fact that the Norse gods are a thing in here and Earth is Midgard. So yeah, this is Earth. By outlining the Earth in this image, we find that it has a diameter of about 2,170 pixels. Considering that the planet itself is about 12,742 kilometers in diameter, it must be about 6 kilometers per pixel. Because the blast itself comes to about 571 pixels in diameter all the way across, it must be about 1,726 kilometers in radius. This means that the blast was about the size of Australia, and given the speed that the blast was moving at, we can find it expanded to its maximum distance in about 3.1 seconds. Meaning it must have been moving well over 1.2 million miles per hour, or about 554,000 meters per second, or Mach 1,622. This is thousands of times the speed of the fastest shockwaves in the real world. The shockwave of a TNT explosion has a speed of about 6,900 meters per second, far slower than Meliodas' blast, and thus would be far less powerful. Essentially, shockwaves in media would almost always be fatal. We can thank the rule of cool for that. And speaking of cool, it would be super cool if you guys could leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. YouTube and me both very much appreciate it when you do that kind of thing. It helps out quite a bit actually. And now back to the calculation. Now that we know the blast expansion speed, we now need to find its weight in order to find how much pressure the blast must have had. Given the diameter and radius of the blast, we can find its volume to be about 10.77 meters cubed. As a shockwave is a pulse of kinetic energy, we now need to know the mass of the medium that the blast propagated through and apply the speed to that. Air is light, but not weightless. In fact, clouds are actually lighter at about 1.003 kilograms per cubic meter, while air clocks in at about 1.225 kilograms per meter cubed. This is the same reason that oil floats on top of water. It's less dense. Taking the volume of the blast and multiplying it by the air density, this blast must have propagated through about 13 billion kilograms of air. Yeah, I was wrong here. I don't know how I got off by a factor of about 1,000, but I was off by about a factor of 1,000. It's not billion, it's quintillion. It's 13 quintillion. Which, as you might guess, changes things down the line. I didn't catch this mistake until, oh, I don't know, 2 in the morning, as I edit this right now. So you're gonna see the rest of the video. I'll make all the changes and everything like that, and it'll turn out fine. But towards the end of the video, I talk about how, oh, I think this number's fine. The ending result of this calculation ends up being 1,000 times greater than what I thought it was gonna end up being, or what I first calculated it to be before I figured out I made a mistake. So just know that the opinions that I myself say later on might not reflect how I feel now. I am never touching an explosion ever again. Those things are stupid. So yeah, my calculation of this was off by a factor of about 1,000. At least the end result was. So I'm gonna go fix that. I just want to let you know that my present day self does not agree totally with my past day self anymore. So while normally we could find the kinetic energy, we're not really looking into that, because we don't need the kinetic energy, we need the blast pressure in order to plug it into a specific formula used for this type of calculation. So taking the mass, speed, and a few more calculations involving acceleration, surface area of the blast's outer dome, and the mass itself, we find this blast shockwave had a pressure of about 1.26 million bars of pressure. That's about 6 million times the power to destroy a missile bunker, and 916,000 times the needed pressure to be 100% fatal to humans. Welcome to fiction, where everything is made up and people's lives don't matter. But you know, that's why we're here. With this, we can take the pressure and the blast radius and plug it into this formula, giving us a result of about 4 nonillion joules, or about 958 exatons of TNT, just under a zettaton. This feat is far more powerful and much greater spectacle than any feat we have seen in canon. Even 7 Deadly Sins combo attack Nemesis was only a fraction of Britannia's size. And that's a combination of all the Sins powers together after being multiplied several times by Meliodas full countering it. However, there's still more, because if you decide to take the game mechanics and apply them to this, then this attack for him is easy, because at its very max, this attack deals 500% of his attack stat to the opponent. This is only about 2.5 times the strength of his basic attacks, and is equal to his max rank attacks. Not to mention that this level of attack is actually on the low end for Ultimate Move's power, but he makes up for the lack of power with his other abilities, which Demon King Meliodas shreds any person he hits. It is so annoying. So while this is a massive jump in power from what I previously calculated the universe's max to be, I think it was in the low petatons of TNT, I do think it makes sense. And this is not some outlier, because the previous max I calculated was from one of Escanor's creating of his sun. But this type of feat is just constantly overshadowed in Grand Cross, even by Escanor himself. Just look at this. This is one of the character drawing animations. You have Escanor catching an Elbion's blast and then throwing a massive sun at it, blowing it up. Or one of his ultimate moves where he makes a gigantic sun and throws it to the ground, nuking the ground. It's a very casual type of feat in Grand Cross. Now get this, the feat we just calculated for Meliodas is probably not even the most powerful feat in Grand Cross. That probably goes to an original character, Shin the Gamer, who pulled a Lex Luthor and blasted the planet with his orbital satellite. Now, let's not think about the consequences of having this type of technology during medieval times would have, though I do think there is some time travel involved. Also, King managed to beat the Norse god of the sun in combat, Freyr, who is not technically the Norse god of the sun, but in Grand Cross he is, meaning that King should scale much higher than what we just calculated, potentially the star level. But that's not likely because Freyr was explicitly losing power, although he was still strong enough to kick the butt of the God of War, Tyr. Grand Cross is a weird game, but I love it. Also, Thor. I should also mention that I have little issue including Grand Cross in a versus debate, because not only has it been the best of 7 Deadly Sins for a while, but has consistently expanded upon characters regardless of how minor they are. And not only does it have a story mode where you play through the entire main story, but several original stories like the Calamities and Ragnarok that are major, and by the end, they'll probably rival the size of the original stories. Now, I did have a few screenshots from a few years back that I would reference now to help support my thoughts on this, but I can't find them. But I do know that Nakawa, the author of 7 Deadly Sins, often draws concept art for characters and villains in the game. In fact, I do believe that some characters started in the game and then were canonized later on in the manga or one of the canon movies or something. It also likely saved the entire 7 Deadly Sins franchise after the fiasco that was season 3 and 4, making it potentially the most important piece of 7 Deadly Sins media that we have outside the actual canon manga. So I have no issue including these in versus debates. Also, it's more interesting when you bring in more stuff. That being said, guys, Thank you for watching. See you next time. Remember to stay spectacular. JoJo out. Bye bye.